process of communication setting communicates online sentence and film directions, how we come into kick drive. Kick drive is all levels of a deeper core, its own consciousness, which you don't want to override your system. So it's out of conceptual, everything to its body, goes through different levels of filmship and design, application, your systems and travel. That correlates to the communication settings to your networks. Knowing how to use the line standard location of systems. Everything converts to systems. That's why you don't want to get override line centers of thinking or thoughts of actions, emotions now, because we're in the body conceptual of its setting that correlates our communication positions, its operation cycle. So it's knowing how to emerge our own settings. It's a converted system, the location that setting attractions. Subconscious line. Okay? All right. Teaming units is going to go fly line charts, starting ground sense lines of sequence. We'll start measuring scale. Balance position, right? Operative unit location activators. Activators will be outside, and positions inside their subconscious location levels. Operative units will be inside the setting, stay in the center operation. As we go through the center operation in seconds, minutes, and hours, change course centers of time frame, set line on course centers. And this is what happens when you stay in the center. Now, overriding lines of thinking. Outside line is outside position, which is the outer line of center of the space, location is void, into conceptual location of travel. Okay? So, now, convert the system offsetting. You got to start thinking. That's what happens when you outline the signals. Everything ground lines and set lines, and that changes structural locations to convergence. Change time patterns, correlates lines, pattern direction, time, symbol location towards converted lines, centers, operation, and sequence. So, you guys are now outline signals, going where do you think you want to go? Not identify what's going on with their travel, right? So, it sets off position tone. It correlates lines, calculation. Now we're going outside line signals, creating line communication, structural line divisions, outline side position operations, building conceptions, come into building high line rotation off calculations and travel. Convert the system, calculate line grounds on site location to its high position line of travel. Okay, so you guys are center off in that position because you're overriding your thinkings. Now we're going through a dimensional door to another door. 3 centers of doors and set lines of sequence off channel, operation lines of travel communications. That's why I want you guys to focus, is to stop thinking, stop analyzing, and just come into the body of alignment now. Okay, because we have to convert the system into body attraction, location, pattern recognition, face recognition. Right? So that's what happens when you guys are thinking. It changes the whole map in structural line divisions. You look outside lines, you see the clouds go in the opposite directions. The clouds have to stay exactly where they are. It's just trying to understand the construct, how it's created through its mapping system, because the brain's already set it up. That's why we get very confused, because we don't understand how to use our subconsciousness. We don't understand what a kick drive is to its mind and alteration system that changes everything to its deeper core, that changes everything, conversion system, its vision and settings. So as soon as you start thinking, it changes everything of analyzations and something like a sequence. Okay? All right, so that's just the ground lines of symbolism, lines of travel. Okay, let's go through another body frame. Let's go through triangulation frame and star mixture time frame, offline set lines of sequence panel. 3 convergent systems, all right? So triangulation itself is just a map. We're going to convert the system lines of calculations. Door direction lines, centers, focus lines, exits, and entry points. Kickstart lines, dimension lines of scale, body line frame. Convert the system lines of travel, okay? Star makers lines is data ports, data plateaus, and quadrant line screen locations, all right? Now, all this is a map. All right, so as the map goes through line centers, inside line course centers, communication position, data processing. Okay, process course centers is sub-processing into program of processing itself and travel. Converts the system calculations. Triangulation over lines of flux, 3 standards of calculation setting. Inside line calculation setting. Oh, convert the system. Oh, now you're thinking. There's what's happening in travel when you start thinking. You override your triangulation. Now you got online centers in sequence will all change the information lines of grounds. Uh-oh, what are we doing? We're thinking again. Thinking is a process of hesitation, but understand what you've already done is also creation, which is creating. So the process of the mind is a constant continuous flow that records the timelines that change the pattern records of time centers, time lock location, time replacements, changing mapping line codes, correlation communication setting, wall sequence, separation line course, sends the calculation, screen location, new schematic signs of travel. Think it again. All right. Now the start line position, Fibonacci going this way, not in lines of sequence, offline position, off correlations, back in time. Kick starts, offline centers, off calculations, roguing. Too many thinking. So I'm trying to get you guys to identify these things. This is very important. You stay in position of state in the center operation yourselves. Stay in your own lanes. Okay, so you're standing there like this. You're trying to recognize the room that you're connecting to. You're looking at three different directions. Okay, structure building here. Okay, another building here. And another building here. Some lines of travel. 3 buildings, right? All right. You stay in your own lanes. Don't go left, don't go right. Because as soon as you go right, you change the structure of the building. You go left, you change the modification of the structure of its round system, location of attraction. You change everything right away. You change the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres and its highways in that division. Okay, so it's important you understand these things, guys. Okay, everything's already set up, the coordinates, longitude, latitude. Now coming down, positions put you in all communications. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many times it goes through a window, a box frame, or a triangulation frame. Okay, everything's already set up in laser traction locations. Okay, platforms are set up, grounds are set up, powers are set up, highways are set up, convergence galaxies are all set up. That's all set up. All you're staying is you're seeing things in real time that doesn't change the scale of anything in provision locates to its systems. So you know exactly what you're doing as you keep moving forward through travel. And you come to energy grid, location grid, and set position lines, operation lines, and sequence. So it doesn't change anything. But as soon as you come into the analyzation system, it changes everything to some platforms. And it's a travel. Okay, so it converts the system. Now you're on that setting. Okay, not controlling your agencies, not controlling your sentience. It's all metaphor, design line, but it's all about understanding you're no longer provision. Now you have no kickstart. Your correlations, your body has no convergence system, what's going on through adaptation of pattern recognition and all through travel. Now you live in dimensional lines. That's taking over your real time of your seconds, minutes, hours, and frame. Okay? So stop analyzing things and just stay in the center. And the more you stay in the center, the more everything around you starts disintegrating inside the mind line. So it's conception lines of evac. Let's convert this system to Fibonacci. It's set lines of sequence. Goes around the system lines of travel. Okay? So when you're here, and the more you convert into the mind, adaptation of imagination, it automatically goes inside your system in flux inside the mind. Everything that you created from outside goes inside your system in flux location setting of its conception of its inception itself. So your whole graphic city of your earth rotates inside the mind. Simple, easy, done. Now, once you understand that, the infrastructure is a lot more easy now because you're consciously aware of what's going through kick drive, center drive, or high drive. Modified lines, your endorphins kicking in, high drive line sentence, sentience, Sumerian text. How do you see that position lines of travel? But it's all levels of mind alteration. Because if you don't understand the mind, you understand the intelligence of its networks, you're never going to understand the direction. Directions, networks, intelligence, and mind alteration. Always, always changing. The mind is a constant internal, external force that just keeps evolving itself. It doesn't live in the past, it doesn't live in the present, it doesn't live in the future. It's not just in the now, okay? It already knows what it is, so it identifies its own setting, its own polarities. So it's the mind alteration of its system, which is the MK Ultra. MK Ultra. Now, how you see MK Ultra is your own individual system. We have to understand how to adapt to our mind imagination system so it doesn't change anything, a pattern, a face, or anything configuration of recognition. Force of recognition changes time frames. Travels of point lines of graph change the mind alteration frames. This correlates communications, confusion, directing lines, and hesitation. Now, you guys are no longer separate in your minds, but now you have to process the bodies and use the conception of your intent. No longer in set lines of travel. So the intent is the intelligence of networks, telegraphing, teleweaving, telecommunication lines into the existing, into the now of teleportation. Okay, that's the intent, right? Ground centers embedded over lines, graph screens, depth in lines of flux. Okay? Now, all you're seeing is a construct that's already set in position in systems. So let's get into 4 layers of indication of division. Okay. All right, so embedded 1, embedding lines of 2, film strips lines of 4. Plateaus, right? Now, staying in the center operation. That's the center. What you have to understand is your body's moving with the gravity. Remember how you get in a game and you see everything in the background moving, but you're still, right? That's you thinking now. So you process yourself into that position. So the background is moving, but you're still now. You're frozen in time because you're overlying what you already created through mind alteration. So staying in the center, everything around you converts your systems into minds, goes forward in tractions, embedding system lines of setting. Okay, so all you're doing is expanding your systems of travel in directions of locations. So it's very powerful how you go in that minds into forward location setting and pattern recognition. Look at that. Look what you created because you stayed in the center. So once you get into that, then you can set a convergence settings, cross line security, defense line, and position its constant location to its awareness and travel. Okay, creating a structure of that, coming in that position location to its building, information system of its dimensional doors and travel. So convert the systems to set position, operates line sequence. So it creates all levels of expanding its system because it stays in the center operation. So staying in the center, you're moving with the background, going in that direction. Getting hesitated thinking, the background's moving, but your body's still. You're still in story. So it affects your film strip. It affects your pattern and your configuration of face recognition. And that automatically puts you into a kick drive. That offloads your system of what you're doing through frames of teleportation and time continuance. All through travel, all through recognition of MK Ultra. So once you send 4 lines of flux, 4 centers of scale of data sheets and rotation lines of grounds. Okay, so all you're doing is you're converting the system, staying in the center operation of your system and travel. Very powerful. There's the building, right? So it's pretty incredible when you recognize these things. And the more you stay in the center, the more you expand your system of expanding and operationalize a sequence. And that communications. So that's moving forward. Now confusing yourself, how did I get here? Well, I don't know because I already know how, because I've already been here. So that keeps you more in the center, right? Always in the center, always in the center, always in the center. So you're working with the rotation. See, the communication with the body, set lines, converted system, adaptation of mind and flux is that we don't understand how to play a game. The game itself is moving, but our bodies are still. That's the story. And how the oversoul doesn't see that. The oversoul doesn't live in a story. It goes through a story, but it motivates the system and goes in the same direction of internal and external force together through polarity. Now understand the conception of mind alterations that put you in position lines of balance and use that through tranquilization and cycle. This helps you identify staying in the center, coming in and expanding. Okay, not staying in the center, offsetting, change the structure of your schematics of your building. Offsetting in set position. So it's internal external force in that position. Okay, so you go with the background. You go in the with direction. You know, you can go in the opposite direction, right? But you always stay in the center. Okay, so you never move the center because it's the operation of you, but you're inside the game. You're not playing the game, you are a game. So understanding how the mind works is understanding through film strip. So if I do this, it offs the system, and everything in the structure right now has changed the schematics because it overrides my thinking. You understand? Because everything you created is already done. So that affects you in real time. That changes your subconscious level into the subcontent, and it kicks you into high drive. That takes you out of motivation lines to overload and override, okay, to its main drive, which change your patterns, that change your providers and your servers, your modems, your Wi-Fi, sats, and towers, and your communication system that change all information system, your seconds, minutes, and hours, and time. So that's why I want you guys to stay in the center. Now, the more you stay in the center, this is what happens. Okay, so let's go with the convergence system of the brain lines. Okay, mapping system. Now, all this is already set up. This is already set up. Okay? Now, it's not exactly where the body's going. It just stays in a straight line. Stays in a straight line, then you correlate out of lines of signal. Okay, so you know exactly that direction goes to that through pi. Right? So you know exactly where you're going. So it doesn't change the direction. Everything changes directions. This is what happens. Your cloud screen lines in real time change position. Oops, that's not what you want. So now you're in that position. Now you're in a kick drive. That takes you out of the film strip into another dimension, into the void itself. That creates another film strip. That's a retraction in location setting convergence. Okay, offset position, right? So your convergence is offsetting. Now you're in the void itself, creating a multiple levels of another plane mechanisms of drive lines of force that outline your system. Now that comes into cloud convergence. Adaptation lines of settings of sequence, crossing indications and calculations of green locations. So that's what we have to truly understand. And it's all in specifications, right? So the more you analyze things, the more you change the structure of its concept that concedes every location setting. Now, the more you get in position of balance, the more you balance yourself out. And the more you go faster in the mind. And the mind just basically, you go to the next level of the game. That fast tracks location system. It's like Pac-Man in that position. Okay. Understands the board game. You know exactly where to go. Right? So it knows exactly where to go. It knows exactly where to go. On set position. Okay? Because it's already gone through pi. So it doesn't need to know its stepping stones. It just has to understand its body now, what it's gone through its alignment. And it gets very confusing because you are thinking not just through hesitation, but that offlines your system because there's no convergent system to overload. You just understand how to use it through a central drive to a high drive to a main drive. But it's all, like I said, it's just pattern recognition, face recognition settings. And everything that you separate yourself in set position changes everything structure that's already in the brain, right? So that overrides your system. Now you change the schematics that affects you in real time. Your seconds, minutes, and hours, another timeline. Now, what you have to understand comes into the kickstart, which basically is a glitch in the matrix, where you start to see all that position, location, settings, two things in set lines the same color. You got to get out of that, or you lock back into the matrix. That highlights a deeper core. And the more you go into deeper core, it changes your time core. That puts you in a time placement that affects your past, present, and future. Now you separated past, present, and future now. So you can be living everything off balance in set lines of travel. You're going to be living the alteration of film strips of dimensional lines of time frame in time to placement. Off positions, off correlations of buildings, travels of point lines of graph, in convergent system of grounds, powers, and atmospheres of design. So you're reconverting your sketch and you convert the system off settings through operation sequence. So it confuses everything in anomalies all through structure that's already set up in design. Change your time shares, your block shares, right? Everything you have, you always have, you're going to receive it. But the more you get in hesitation, the more it just goes around again. So it's like a clothesline. Okay, you got this coming in. Okay, that's your currency, that's your fiat, that's your financial system, right? This is you receiving what you already have. Okay, so you get it here, here, and here, all through pi. You already get it, right? But as soon as you get positions offsetting, it converts back in set of time. It's still there, but it's in a clothesline. Mind collaboration. It's all calculated to modify how you see the interline condition, interlink, interwove, indirect line, core, sensing, communication lines, codification lines, binding lines, reset positions, argon location lines, set calculation lines, battery, okay, reset lines, directing ground sense sequence. That's why I want you guys to get into the mind collaborations of the mind alteration lines screens, body conceptual system, into consciousness being aware. Body just needs understanding alignment. The oversoul is already in time frame, in real-time measure. It's not waiting on standby for the body to come into its vessel of communication. That's all it is, attractions. Okay? So this is going to help you to understand how you see your own space, how you see your own time. But if you don't do these things, your body stands still and your body's moving, right? But it's moving in the opposite directions now, which change the kick drives. They can change the multiple levels of your system. They change the film strips. So it starts running your system, overriding your system, overloading your system through mother load. And that's what you guys do not want to do in convergent system. It's all of us how to use your imagination and know exactly what's going on in its position of its conversion. Okay? Adaptation of force at a timeline. So multiple levels, everything that you see, right? Always, always stay in the center. Okay? So you go this way, you can go this way, or you can go this way. It doesn't matter. You're moving forward. You're moving forward now. So it doesn't matter how you see these things, but you're always, always staying in the center. Okay? Always in the center. It's much easier to see that. And then you process that a lot more quicker, a lot more faster. In pyramid of activation, in process of communication. Betting, high position lines of travel. Okay? And the structure becomes a lot more easier as you stay in the center of operation. And then you start to see the structures of your systems, or what you created through the mind, okay, through the oversoul. Have no space and no time. Okay? No space and no time, guys. And then you recognize, I am who I am. I'm recognizing there is no space and time. Then I realize there is space and time. That's your body. But the convergent system of the oversoul doesn't live in space and time. That's a conversion. But the body has to live in time. That's a balance of earth and space at the same time. So we're in convergent system to understand adaptation. So when you get calculated modified to your own time frame, try to understand the universe of its core. Film strip, design lines, the procedure, set location, mind adaptation, MK ultra. Directing ground lines, a sequence, puts you in platforms and set lines of calculation, right? Because it's already created through your minds. You just have to understand how to process this through its indication system, all through tractions, all through location. Okay? Very powerful stuff when you just stay in a straight line. You stay in a straight line, everything works around you. Nothing works against you. If the alteration comes in, all right, well, it's changing your kickstart. It's changing constellation, changing your atmosphere lines, changing your film strips, changing your design lines, operating night sequence, change your imagination, change your core, change your space and time, change your galaxy alignments, and change your MK ultra. Ouch. That's what the alteration ego does in a box frame. Okay, so your body is going to be conception and confusion, like this. Huh? Has no idea. What happened here? I was going this way. This is going forward. This is going backwards. Okay? Okay. So it's a dimensional state of going forward. You know exactly what you're doing in provision. As you go forward, you start to recognize more levels and have no memory of design. And then you process that through the emptiness that provides you all information that you already have. It's not a convergent setting position off balance. It's just you bed yourself in too many levels of signals, not identifying yourself and how to use it through the mind, that change the intelligence of its networks, of its design. The mind. The mind consists of its own mind, of its own volume, intelligence, own set location, lives on its own networks, lives on its own direction, division line, set position of its operation. the vetted system, it doesn't need to understand its system. The body has to understand the alignment now. Okay, which is the directions. Processing through that is a lot more easier to see that film chip that's already set up for your system. Then that puts everything location setting to all calculate modify. That puts you in classification unit chip cores and try to understand that. As we connect with each other, we start to understand how to use the consciousness of our body frames and know exactly how to go through all lines of position locations through pattern recognition, face recognition, and understand the force of recognition time frame. So we live in our own timelines, but we come together, okay, in the same timeline of reality time, of real time. And that's where we're coming into, right? How everybody's set up in chronological order through your foundations, right? But as soon as you opt position, you change the structure in real time that affects your seconds, minutes, and hours. And that's the alteration the ego comes in. And when the ego comes in, it kickstarts your engine and puts your body in another dimension. So you're no longer in minutes, hours, and frame. You're in years. You've gone through 10 years of space. And that's a lot of communication confusion. So that keeps you in a more deeper core, deeper core, deeper core, deeper core. That puts you in the low division into zero calculation. Not high rise in your system in 144 flux. So it's all indication how you see it through a mapping system, lines of travel. Okay, platforms over lines, going forward, embedding, process of going forward, process of going forward, process of going forward. That's going forward. Creating the structure that you already created through design. Okay? So you can't create confusion because it's already set in traction. Okay? Confusion is this way. Not understanding the alteration. That's confusion. Because there's no balance of that. This is the balance. Stay in a straight line. And then you convert this system to center operation setting. So it doesn't offline your position location of travel. Okay? It's no difference how you see a number 4 on this direction. This is center. Okay? This is off center. This is you thinking. Oops. So your whole body is now going in the opposite direction. Into one way. It pulls you into the void of operation sequence that change your divisions and location settings through your conceptual system of your mind alteration setting into its position of confliction, a separation. Okay? And that's all it is. Stay in a straight line. Okay? So you got two graphs. One car going this way, one passing this way. Right? So this is you driving. Okay, that's you driving, right? And there's a car here. Okay, so that's you. So that's you passing. And set lines of travel, right? But you don't want to go this way and go this way because you'll crash in the same lane. So you want to stay in your own lanes. Right? It's just metaphorically designed for you to understand these things, right? Because your map's already set up. You just have to understand how to mind manipulate your own system and say your time frame. Is a correlation with the panel, how to use it through its alteration. Alteration is a state of mind. That's all it is. It's an altered state. And how you start to recognize that provides you how to use that through the server, through the messenger that you are, through the gods that you are a position of, to understand how to use that in a body of alignment of its geological, geographical, and its geometric system. In your sacred geometries. Because everything you see is already done through its equation. So there is literally nothing for you to do. But when you start thinking, that's where it changes real time. And affects everything in your day. A second, so your clouds go in the opposite directions. Right? So you don't change anything in structure. That's why you have to get positions up, because it's much understanding that we motivate our system and try to understand that. Well, why am I in this position? Why am I in that position? How did I get here? Like I said, it's not how I got here. It's identifying how I've already been here. And everything starts to align your system. So your body gets consciously aware of what it's doing as it's waking up to its own system of its own travels, a constant continuous flow, living its external in position to internal. It can be external, internal, either way, but more balance of your system puts you in position to balance and setting the altered travel, off through correlation, right? Going through dimensions of space and time, moving forward in set position. Okay. okay? Not thinking going this way in directions and creating structures of different location settings. That's not good, right? Your whole structure changes. Your whole life changes. You can't change your life, you already lived it. But you haven't lived it, you're living it. Living the intelligence of forever existing. Now you just went through reincarnation. Reconfiguring core line core centers, record calculation screen lines, adaptation of flux. Recording lines, divisions, readjusting core centers, operation lines, set location, conversion system, existing lines, and positional locations, set travel. You're remembering cycles. You're reminding cycles. How you go through flux and time measure and scale. Going forward, it's set line communications positions to internal and external force of a dimensional and a solar sail travel. Okay. So that's all it is. How that's all set up in location of your system. Already set up in calculation. Okay? Alright, so that's in settings. Operationalize a sequence, all travel. So this is going to help you identify how to really motivate your system in a higher lines of channel that operate locates and setting, how you come into your own kickstarts and direct locations, how you come into deeper core, and how to use your subconscious levels, knowing how to adapt your force set location towards that's an offline position, living into another dimension in real time that affects you and your body, which puts you in a quantum line of interference, of entanglement with yourself and each other. So the only way you can create stories with each other is that their whole background will convert this system to an optimal setting, creating all calculated modified through an agent or location setting to a sentient. A sentient is all based on trial and error. Agencies are position location to your byproduct that changes the time frame. So it's a converting system to all lines, how to convert this system through its conversion, understand how to use the mind adaptation of force is just to move forward and stay in the center lane. You stay in the center lane, everything goes with you in that direction. So the whole structure of the building moves forward and direct and redirect is one in collaboration and partnership. Now that interface interlinks and interwebs your systems all through travel. Okay? So again, thinking puts you off position in story. So everything beyond the system will be moving forward, but you'll be still. So the operation system, which is mind itself, will take you over through space and time. And it does that. That's where it kick drives everything that changes your central drive, your pattern recognition, your face recognition, and configuration. All through travel, all through recognition of time. Okay? So, hope you guys enjoyed that. Setting lines is equal course, standards, constellation lines, subconscious level, classification A, level D. See you in 7th edition operation.